Yeah, hey everyone, this is Dwayne with Dwayne's Diagnostics and Mobile Auto Repair. And I'm doing this video today kind of about doing relative compression testing using a oscilloscope and some compression testing that I did actually on my neighbor's truck yesterday. Um, these are the waveforms of the relative compression test I did on his truck yesterday. And his truck is actually a 2013 Dodge 1500 with the 5.7 Hemi engine. And I can actually show you the truck. It's across the park here. I don't know if you can see it from here. It's that white truck over there, that white Dodge that's backed in. And it's actually backed in because he went to leave a little while ago and it stalled on him. So me and my landlord had to help him push it back in there. But the reason why I did the relative compression test on it is because he had been having misfires on it, and another shop, a couple different shops had looked at it and had suggested parts for him to replace, like coil and injector and plugs, which he had replaced, which didn't solve the misfire problem. And he took it to another shop that, according to what he told me, I believe they did a compression test on it, and I guess the compression was low on number one cylinder, and they told him that he most likely needed a camshaft and kind of basically needed to rebuild the engine, which I believe they were actually accurate on that, because just after me testing it and looking at it today, that's what it seems like. It has a bad camshaft, and basically the engine just needs to be rebuilt. But so he had it towed in here, I think, last Saturday. So I just wanted to go look at it for him and help him out with it, and kind of verify that it was diagnosed right, and check the compression on it. So I did this compression test on it yesterday, and these are the waveforms I got, which actually clearly show right here. This is the number one cylinder, and right here, and it basically has no compression at all. You can see that blue spike coming down right there, and the blue spike coming down right here. And this is cylinder 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2. Then cylinder 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2. Then again, the dropout on number 1. So he definitely has a dead cylinder number 1. So I actually pulled the valve cover off of it on that side today, and I didn't take any videos of it or any pictures or anything, but I just got done with it a little while ago, and you can see my hands are pretty dirty. And we were hoping that maybe it might just have broken valve springs, because that is a common problem on those engines. So we were hoping we might get lucky, and that it might, once we pulled the valve cover off, we might just find some broken valve springs, and you know, it might be a little bit easier, cheaper fix. But we didn't find any broken valve springs or anything wrong, anything obvious looking with the valves on that cylinder number 1. But it has a pretty bad knock, which sounds like it's coming from the camshaft area. And these engines are known to have camshaft lobes and camshaft bearings and lifters that wear out even at from what I heard, like even under 100,000 miles. And his truck has 198,000 on it right now. So it's looking like that is most likely what is wrong with it, is a bad camshaft. And but I just wanted to do this video and kind of show this to people and show you how much easier it is and quicker it is to use a scope to do compression testing, depending on the engine. But this is a test you can do that I did like in a matter of minutes, and could see the compression of all 8 cylinders all at once. It tests the compression of all 8 cylinders all at once, and could see that, you know, this cylinder number 1 is dead, number 8 has good compression, but then you go down and these other ones have lower, uneven compression until you get back up to number 7, and number 7 has good compression. But then it just repeats that pattern throughout the firing order. So I just figured I'd do a video on this, and maybe anyone out there that might have to do compression testing on engines, show you that this scope is a way easier, quicker way to do compression testing depending on the engine. Because on this particular truck, I didn't have to take anything apart. I didn't have to remove anything. I didn't have to take off the intake or pull ignition coils or pull spark plugs and hook up a compression gauge. The scope is actually like very quick and easy to use to do one of these type of tests, and you can see it visually, you know, what your compression looks like on all of the cylinders all at once, like in a matter of minutes. And this right here is actually the little scope that I used. It's just a little Pico, a 2-channel, and I used it with this amp clamp here that I got from AES Wave. And I used this blue test lead here, back probed into the number 1 ignition coil to use as a reference. That's what this signal is. So then I could tell where I was at in the firing order by seeing that spike right there. I knew that was number 1 cylinder because I had this lead and my back probed into the number 1 ignition coil. But you can also do a relative compression test with just a single channel scope, which I have here also. This is just a little single channel U scope, and I'll turn it on here. And you can see that the screen is pretty small, so you can do a relative compression test with one of these single channel scopes, but it's very hard to see the screen, and you can't do the same type of things and manipulate the waveform and zoom in and out and all the different things you can do with this Pico software and this type of scope. But you can use one of these single channel scopes. But with it being single channel, you can only see one waveform at a time. You can't see 2 waveforms like I have on here because it's only a single channel, so you can only record 1 waveform at a time. So this is actually a much better option, because on this single channel, then you don't know where you're at in the firing order, so you can't you know, you don't have no reference to know where you're at in the firing order, to know actually which cylinder actually might have a compression problem. So it's actually a lot better to have at least a 2-channel scope, or even more channels. The more channels, the better. You can record more things at once and see more signals at once. But figured I'd do a video on that, and kind of a little bit of information on doing relative compression testing using a scope. It's you know, it's so much quicker and easier. You just hook the scope up to the laptop and hook this clamp up to one of the battery cables, and you know, if you're using a reference, you just hook up a test lead to one of the ignition coils or one of the fuel injectors, and you can get this kind of waveform that'll show you, you know, what the relative compression is, and where you're at in the firing order. So and you know, depending on the vehicle, you may not have to remove any parts at all. On his truck, I didn't have to take anything off. You know, I didn't have to spend hours, you know, removing an intake or removing ignition coils and pulling all the spark plugs and actually hooking up a compression gauge. You know, I didn't have to remove anything at all. Just hook up the scope, hook the scope up to the laptop, hook up the amp clamp, you know, adjust the settings on the scope, hook up the lead here to the ignition coil, crank it over, you know, put it in clear flood mode, or disable the fuel, disable the pump or the fuel pump relay. You want to disable the fuel while you're cranking it, because you don't actually want the vehicle to start. You want to see the compression without it actually starting, with the engine just cranking. But it's actually a pretty easy test to do once you have all the right stuff and figure out how to do it. It's actually a pretty simple, quick test to do, and you can see, you know, the compression of all the cylinders all at once within like a matter of minutes, instead of having to you know, disassemble the vehicle and pull an intake and pull ignition coils and pull spark plugs and do a compression test on each cylinder. This is a way quicker, easier way to do compression testing, you know, depending on the engine. You know, on a 4-cylinder, you know, you can a lot of 4-cylinders, you can generally, you know, get to the spark plugs fairly easily and hook up a compression tester. So, you know, those aren't as time consuming or labor intensive. But you know, on a V6 or a V8 where the plugs are buried, you know, this is a much quicker, simpler, easier test to do. So anyway, yeah, we didn't figure out exactly what was wrong with his truck, but it looks like most likely it is a bad camshaft, and basically the engine needs rebuilt. So there's really no point in a whole lot of further testing. But yep, I hope someone out there liked this video and maybe learned something. And that's probably all I got for this one, and I will talk to you on the next one.